Something is moving across the world's oceans, and almost no one outside the Pentagon understands the significance yet. In this 2026 crisis scenario, the order comes down from Washington, and within minutes, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, one of the most sophisticated naval formations ever assembled, cuts communications, flips into a mission control, and goes dark. The group had been stationed in the Western Pacific, balancing China's growing naval pressure, but now its engines are pushing hard, driving the entire formation toward the Persian Gulf at a pace that signals urgency rather than routine deployment. The White House calls it a precaution. Tehran calls it provocation. But the truth lies somewhere deeper, because the real story isn't the ships themselves, it's what those ships are carrying. Inside sealed weapons bays, below the armored decks, and hidden within vertical missile tubes are systems designed not just to deter an enemy, but to dismantle an integrated military network in hours. These are tools that compress reaction time, overwhelm sensors, and erase the advantage of static defenses. Missiles that exceed interception envelopes, electronic warfare pods that can blind radars across entire sectors, stealth aircraft whose onboard computers fuse sensor data faster than human operators can comprehend. It's a technological ecosystem purpose-built for a worst-case scenario. But before we break down the 5 systems at the heart of this shift, you need context. In this hypothetical 2026 crisis, Iran is spiraling under domestic unrest. Protests, larger and more widespread than anything seen since 2009, ignite across major cities. The regime's crackdown is harsh and fast, resulting in thousands of casualties and mass arrests, according to international human rights monitors. Under mounting pressure, Washington draws a red line: halt the executions and mass detentions or face consequences. For a brief moment, it looks like Tehran pauses. Then intelligence intercepts, suggests secret tribunals, and resume disappearances. Diplomacy stalls, tensions spike. Within hours, the Lincoln Strike Group receives new tasking. Abandon Pacific Station, transit immediately toward the Middle East. This isn't a scheduled rotation, it's what the Pentagon categorizes as a crisis-driven forward surge. And the carrier group isn't arriving alone. Air Force F-15, E-Strike Eagles. From RAF Lakenheath reposition to Jordan's Muwafaq Salti Air Base. B-52 Stratofortresses land in Qatar with long-range precision strike options. Beneath the surface, an Ohio-class guided missile submarine, one of only 4 in existence, slips into the Arabian Sea. Its exact location unknown to everyone except a handful of U.S. commanders. This configuration isn't about deterrent presence. It represents what planners call the opening phase of a SEAD/DEAD campaign, suppression and destruction of enemy air defenses. It's the blueprint for neutralizing radar networks, command centers, missile launchers, and leadership bunkers before an opponent fully grasps what's happening. These are day one tools, designed to enable decisive action in contested airspace where older platforms simply cannot survive. So the question becomes, what exactly is heading toward Iran in this scenario, and why does its arrival matter so much? Let's break down the 5 weapon systems that, if deployed together, would represent the sharpest edge of American military power in the modern era. Number 5. The EA-18G Growler with the next-generation jammer. Mid-band electronic warfare rarely makes headlines, but in any real conflict with a nation that fields long-range surface-to-air missiles, it's the first and most essential domino. And at the center of America's electronic warfare spear is the EA-18G Growler, an aircraft built on the Super Hornet airframe, but transformed into a platform whose primary weapon isn't a missile or a bomb, but pure electromagnetic disruption. For decades, the Navy relied on the ALQ-99 jamming pod. It was effective for its time, but it was built on older analog systems and mechanically steered antennas. The next-generation jammer midband, operational today on deployed Growlers, changes everything. Powered by gallium nitride, GaN, AESA arrays, the NGJ-MB lets the aircraft produce precisely shaped, high-power beams that can lock onto enemy radars and overwhelm them with tailored interference, rather than broad, easily countered noise. In this 2026 crisis scenario, that matters because Iran's most advanced domestic air defense asset, the Bavar 373, uses phased array radars inspired by Russian long-range systems. On paper, the system claims the ability to detect low observable aircraft at medium ranges. But radar detection depends on more than power. It depends on stability, waveform control, and resistance to jamming. NGJ-MB is specifically engineered for these types of radars. Instead of simply drowning them out, the Growler identifies their frequency patterns and injects energy directly into the radar's side lobes, the parts of the beam most vulnerable to interference. The result is a massive reduction in effective detection range. A notional 250 to 300 kilometers envelope collapses to something far more survivable for U.S. strike aircraft. What's more unsettling for any defended state is the Growler's role in electronic attack beyond jamming alone. The NGJ-MB architecture supports limited cyber effects, digital manipulation that can corrupt data streams, generate phantom targets, or destabilize fire control networks. Operators can create the illusion of incoming aircraft where none exist, or mask real aircraft entirely. In a coordinated strike, this can mean dozens of false returns blooming across Iranian radar scopes, while the actual attack force slips through gaps in perception. Electronic warfare is not glamorous, but it is foundational. Before the first Tomahawk launches or the first F-35 penetrates defended airspace, Growlers with NGJ-MB are already shaping the battlespace. They are the ones turning off the lights, blinding early warning radars, and cracking open the shell around a sophisticated air defense system. In any modern air campaign, they don't just support the strike, they make the strike possible. Number 4. The USS Georgia, Ohio-class guided missile submarine, SSGN. Beneath the surface of the Arabian Sea, where even satellites can only guess at what moves in the darkness, an Ohio-class guided missile submarine carries a kind of firepower that no other navy on Earth can match. 4 boats in the U.S. fleet were converted from ballistic missile rolls to conventional strike platforms, and among them, the USS Georgia stands out. Not for nuclear deterrence, but for the sheer volume of precision-guided weapons it can unleash without warning. An Arleigh Burke destroyer carries about 90 vertical launch cells, and only a portion of those are loaded with Tomahawks. The Georgia, by contrast, carries up to 154 Tomahawk land attack missiles, more cruise missile capacity than most entire navies can field in a single operation. That turns the submarine into a kind of underwater arsenal ship, capable of reshaping the opening hours of any conflict. In this 2026 crisis scenario, the Georgia's role is clear. Apply massive coordinated pressure on Iran's fixed military infrastructure before leadership can react. The submarine can launch what naval planners call a ripple-fire salvo, dozens of missiles in rapid succession, each programmed with independent targeting. These Tomahawks can strike command centers, radar facilities, air defense nodes, missile production sites, and hardened shelters. Even if Iranian point defense systems like the Tor M1 or Pantsir S1 intercept some of the incoming wave, saturation ensures that many more reach their destinations. The true advantage is stealth. A submarine can approach without emitting radar or radio signals, without broadcasting movement, without creating the kind of patterns that satellites or intelligence aircraft track. Unlike surface ships or aircraft, its presence is neither predictable nor easily deterred. In a region where Iran has invested heavily in coastal defense cruise missiles and anti-ship ballistic missiles, an SSGN remains almost impossible to target until it has already completed its mission. Another often overlooked factor is timing. Because the Ohio SSGNs are nearing the end of their service lives, their deployments carry extra weight. There are no direct replacements with comparable missile volume. Each time one sails into a potential conflict zone, it represents a rare and irreplaceable concentration of long-range precision firepower. In a high-tension scenario like this, the arrival of the Georgia signals that the United States intends to maintain overwhelming standoff capability from day one. One submarine, over 150 long-range missiles, the ability to dismantle an air defense grid, disrupt national command structures, and crater strategic infrastructure before an enemy fully comprehends what's happening. In the mathematics of modern conflict, it's a force multiplier that can alter the trajectory of an entire campaign. Number 3. The AIM-174B, the air-launched SM-6. For years, U.S. naval aviation had a gap, one that became more apparent as potential adversaries fielded longer-range air-to-air missiles and increasingly capable radar systems. The AIM-120 AMRAAM, the dependable workhorse of American fighters, was effective, but limited by its range. The U.S. needed something that could outrun, outclimb, and outreach anything operated by an adversary in the Middle East. The answer came from an unexpected place: the Navy's own surface-to-air missile inventory. The Standard Missile 6, or SM-6, was originally designed to launch from the decks of destroyers and cruisers, intercepting enemy aircraft and cruise missiles at extended ranges. But engineers realized that its active seeker, dual-mode guidance, and powerful rocket motor could be adapted into an air-launched weapon. That concept evolved into the AIM-174B, a standoff missile for fighters that pushes the boundaries of what airborne platforms can attack. In this 2026 crisis scenario, the AIM-174B matters because it allows U.S. fighters to shape the airspace without ever entering the threat envelope of Iranian long-range SAMs. Its estimated range, well over 200 nautical miles, gives American aircraft a massive engagement buffer. Iran's most capable air-to-air missile, the Fakor 90, is derived from older US AIM-54 Phoenix stocks and has a significantly shorter reach. With the AIM-174B, US jets can detect, track, and engage Iranian fighters before those fighters are even aware they're being targeted. But the real strategic value lies not in shooting down aircraft. It lies in dismantling the architecture that enables an air force to function. The AIM-174B can take out high-value assets like airborne early warning aircraft, tanker planes, and long-endurance drones, blind an enemy's radar platforms, and their entire air defense grid begins collapsing from the outside inward. Deny them tankers, and their fighters struggle to stay airborne long enough to defend strategic sites. And because the weapon inherits characteristics from the SM-6, it carries secondary capabilities. In standoff maritime scenarios, like those common in the Persian Gulf, the missile can strike surface targets with precision. Iranian frigates, corvettes, and fast attack craft would have to contend with a weapon that can hit them from far outside the range of their anti-air defenses. A single successful strike could neutralize a key naval vessel before it can even maneuver. This makes the AIM-174B not merely an air-to-air missile, but a flexible, multi-role standoff tool that extends the reach of the entire carrier air wing. Loaded on Super Hornets and supported by the sensors of platforms like the F-35C, it allows the U.S. to wage long-range reconnaissance and suppression campaigns without ever stepping into hostile SAM envelopes. In the geometry of modern aerial warfare, distance is dominance, and with the AIM-174B, U.S. fighters own the distance. Number 2. The Lockheed Mako Hypersonic Weapon. Hypersonic weapons are the new frontier of modern warfare. Unlike traditional ballistic or cruise missiles, hypersonics combine extreme speed with maneuverability, compressing reaction time for any defending force. The Lockheed Mako represents one such capability, a small air-launched hypersonic glide vehicle designed to fit inside the internal weapons bay of an F-35, allowing stealthy penetration of defended airspace before an adversary even knows a strike is underway. Flying at speeds exceeding Mach 5, over 3,800 miles per hour, the Mako is nearly impossible for conventional air defense radars to track reliably. Most systems, including Iran's S-300 and S-200 batteries, calculate interception points based on predictable parabolic trajectories. The Mako's maneuvering capability allows it to deviate sharply from ballistic paths, rendering traditional interceptors largely ineffective. Time-sensitive targets, such as mobile missile launchers or radar units, cannot relocate fast enough to escape. Its deployment with stealth platforms like the F-35 adds another layer of advantage. Because it can be carried internally, the F-35 penetrates contested airspace undetected, reaching launch positions within striking distance while remaining below radar thresholds. Once released, the Mako accelerates to hypersonic velocity, executing precision maneuvers to strike high-value targets before enemy crews can react. The combination of speed, surprise, and accuracy represents a decisive force multiplier in any potential confrontation. Beyond sheer lethality, hypersonics like the Mako shift the strategic equation. They compress the kill chain, sensor detection, decision-making, targeting, and engagement into minutes instead of hours. Commanders must respond in seconds, and even small errors can render entire defensive networks ineffective. This capability forces adversaries to rethink air defense doctrines, dispersal strategies, and mobile operations, knowing that one strike can strike almost anywhere with near-zero warning. In the hierarchy of modern U.S. weapons systems, the Mako occupies a critical niche: the ability to hit time-sensitive, defended targets anywhere in a theater almost instantaneously. Paired with electronic warfare, stealth platforms, and standoff missiles, it forms a layered approach to dominating contested airspace and degrading enemy command and control capabilities from the very first hour of a campaign. At the top of this list sits a machine that has reshaped modern air power, the F-35C Lightning II Block 4. While many countries possess jets that look impressive on paper, the F-35C brings something far more valuable into a potential conflict: information dominance. In warfare, whoever sees first, shoots first, and remains undetected the longest almost always wins. The Block 4 upgrade pushes this advantage even further, enhancing sensors, electronic warfare capabilities, and weapons integration to levels unmatched by any aircraft in Iran's inventory. In the skies over the Middle East, the F-35C's presence would feel less like a jet and more like a ghost. With its carrier-based design, it can launch from U.S. Navy strike groups positioned hundreds of miles offshore, staying completely off Iran's radar screens until it decides otherwise. Once airborne, its stealth shaping and radar-absorbent coating erase it from long-range detection systems, allowing it to glide past layered defenses that rely heavily on older Soviet-era radar architecture. Even advanced tracking platforms, like Iran's upgraded Bavar 373, face enormous difficulty distinguishing an F-35 signature from background noise. But what truly elevates the Block 4 variant is its role as an airborne intelligence node. Its distributed aperture system, an enhanced electro-optical targeting system, scan the battlespace continuously, feeding real-time data to strike groups, drones, and ground units. Instead of simply attacking targets, the F-35C creates a living map of enemy air defenses, radar emissions, and unit movements. In practice, this means U.S. forces can dismantle an entire air defense network before ever revealing their position. Every radar that switches on, every missile that deploys, every movement on the ground becomes visible to the Lightning II. The Block 4 weapons suite also expands the jet's punch significantly. New precision-guided munitions, upgraded air-to-air missiles, and software enhancements allow the aircraft to engage targets at longer ranges while maintaining total stealth. This includes advanced standoff weapons capable of striking air defense systems, command centers, and high-value missile sites without entering the engagement envelope. Combined with its ability to operate from carrier decks for extended periods, the F-35C becomes the perfect frontline asset for a region where rapid escalation and unpredictable threats are the norm. More importantly, the F-35C changes how U.S. forces fight. Instead of mass formations or risky deep penetration bombing runs, a single Lightning II can guide entire strike packages, relay targeting data to destroyers and submarines, and coordinate with drones that sweep ahead like silent scouts. It turns the battlefield into a fully connected digital web, one where Iran's defenses struggle to respond to threats they cannot see, track, or predict. In any confrontation, the presence of even a handful of F-35s signals a dramatic shift in the balance of power. With unmatched stealth, sensor fusion, weapons integration, and carrier-based deployment, the Block 4 Lightning II stands as the most feared U.S. asset capable of entering the region at a moment's notice. It is not just a fighter jet, it is a force multiplier, an intelligence machine, and a modern symbol of American military reach